الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفر ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Alhamdulillah. Today we're still in the Arabic language. We're going to deviate a little bit different from our normal procedures here. Okay? And we're going to start off with Al-Ajrumiyya as opposed to starting off with the poem. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to do something different. We had did Abjad, right? How was, and then we did Huttiya, right? We said Alif Fata A, Ba Fata Ba, Jim Fata Ja, Dal Fata Da, Ha Fata Ha, Waw Fata Wa, Zay Fata Za, Ha Fata Ha, Ta Fata Ta, Ya Fata Ya, and then we did Kasra and we had Dhamma, right? So, today we're finished with Kaliman. We did Abjad, Hawaz, Huttiya, Kaliman, Sa'fas, Kurishat is the two we have to do. Sa'fas, Kurishat, Thaqid, Dadig. Excuse me? What lesson number is this, Mr. Abdul Hakim? 19? It's lesson number 19. Tisata Ashar. Tis'a Ashar. Tis'a Ashar. Okay? So, Jazakumullah khair. We're on the 19th lesson. And I have a piece of paper from you that I borrowed from you last week of the lesson. Yes, sir. Okay? Do you have Sa'fas there? Yes, sir. In Arabic? Okay, so we'll be able to do that too. All right, so but before we do that, we're going to do Kaliman. Everybody say Kaliman. Kaliman. So that's a Kaf, a Lam, Mim, Noon. Notice how I wrote the Kaf. I wrote the Kaf and I put a hook at the end. Kaf is written like this, and then you put a Hamza in the middle. When you're writing script, you don't have to stop and put your pen up. So you just do that little hook at the end right there, and that's how you write a Kaf at the end. For those who, so you know, we're learning as we go. We're doing all this together, right? So, that's why you see that right here. Let me do it a little. I should have done this a little bit wider, but it's still nice. So that's what that hook is when you see it, and you can tell the difference between that and a lamb. So, what we're going to do now, a little brief, is the basics. Going back to the basics, and I hope no one feels insulted. We have the fatha, we have the kasra, we have the dhamma. We need all the practice we can get. So we're going to do Kaf Fatha Ka, Lam Fatha La, Mim Fatha Ma, Noon Fatha Na, Kaf Kasra Ki, Lam Kasra Li, Mim Kasra Mi, Noon Kasra Ni, Kaf Dhammad Ku, Lam Dhammad Lu, Mim Dhammad Mu, Noon Dhammad Nu, Kaf Fatha Ka, Kaf Kasra Ki, Kaf Dhammad Ku, Kaf Dhammad Ku, Lam Fatha La, Lam Kasra Li, Lam Dhamma Lu, Mim Fatha Ma, Mim Kasra Mi, Mim Dhamma Mu, Noon Fatha Na, Noon Kasra Ni, Noon Dhamma Nu, Kaf Fatha Ka, Lam Fatha La, Mim Fatha Ma, Noon Fatha Na, Kaf Kasra Ki, Lam Kasra Li, Mim Kasra Mi, Noon Kasra Ni, Kaf Dhamma Ku, Lam Dhamma Lu, Mim Dhamma Mu, Noon Dhamma Nu. Okay, recite this one. Lam Fatha Kaf Dhamma Ku. And with that one, remember, People make a lot of mistakes with the dhamma, especially Americans, Westerners, because they're lazy-lipped. They don't want to put their lips forward. And also people make mistakes with the kaf, and they mix it with the qaf, because they put their tongue too far back. Always with the kaf, if you want the proper pristine pronunciation, you have to go forward. If this is my mouth, I go up at ka, ku, ki. My kaf is going up there. I don't put it in the back of my mouth close to the throat, because that sounds too much like a qaf. And what will happen when you get to tajweed, the sheikh will say, Sawtun majhul. This sound is it's unclear. I can't tell. It's jahil. I can't tell what it is. You understand? I can't figure of a word to say majhul. Somebody maybe tell me. Majhul is something that is ambiguous. Thank you. That's a better word. Ambiguous. An ambiguous sound. I don't know exactly what it was. It was between kaf and qaf. So kaf and qaf. So I don't know what to say. So you have to make sure you say kaf dhamma ku. Kaf dhamma ku. You see, you push it forward. Be conscious. Kaf dhamma ku. Lam dhamma lu. Mim dhamma mu. Noon dhamma nu. Kaf kasra ki. Just like you say key in English. You take your key and put it in the door, the same sound. Kaf kasra ki. Lam kasra li. And everybody knows Bruce Lee, right? Lam kasra li. Mim kasra mi. Everybody knows me. These sounds we already know. Stick to the way those sounds go. Don't try to think. Some people, they put too much takalluf. They try too hard. And then you say, okay, recite this, they go, or something like that. It's not, it don't need all of that. It's mim kasra mi. And noon kasra ni. Everybody knows their ni. Real easy. Real easy sounds. Sure. Kaf fata ka. Lam fata la. Mim fata ma. Noon fata na. Kaf fata ka. Everybody say cat. Now cut off the T. Cat. Same sound. Kaf fata ka. Jazakallah khair. Lam fata la. Everybody, that's one of the first words they learn. La. But now you cut it half. La. Lam fata la. Mim fata ma. Noon fata na. Kaf dhamma ku. Lam dhamma lu. Mim dhamma mu. Noon dhamma nu. Easy. We're going to get this off the board. Now that's just a practice that you guys can get through, inshallah ta'ala, to help you with the pronunciation. Because remember, the first part of learning this Arabic language is letter recognition. And then the next part is pronunciation, proper pronunciation of the letters. This Arabic language science is so stair-stepped that the reason why people have problems with it is because they stepped out of line. Okay? They didn't learn it in the proper order. And so that makes it difficult. And I can't emphasize this enough. That makes it difficult for them to move on to the next stages. Remember, I told you guys earlier, I said the first science that should be studied is sarf. In your teacher's opinion, I said sarf should be studied before nahwu. And I stated that because sarf is the science through which we learn what? Come on.
The shape of the word after it enters the sentence.
Oh, you heard what he said? Is that correct? Come on, there shouldn't be no hesitation. Sarf has nothing to do with a sentence. Right, it's the breakdown of the word before you enter it into a sentence. Okay? In Arabic, a word, it teaches us so many simple things, but it puts it in proper context. A word is even one or two cases, right? It's either by itself or in a sentence. It's the only way we see a word, right? By itself or in a sentence. Sarf is the science through which we study the meaning of a word before we enter it into a sentence. And then nahwu is the study of the word after it's been entered into a sentence, and also its relationship with other words and its function in that sentence. Right? That's what nahwu is. So I wanted to, well, I got a call this week, and the person was stating that Jazakallah khair. The person was saying that what I did is I mentioned earlier when I said the Arabic. You know, I do this thing sometimes with you guys. I say, what are we studying? And I say Arabic. And then we go and break down the word Arabic. And then we say there are how many sciences of Arabic? 13. There are 13 sciences. And they said, you know what, you never told us what those 13 sciences are. So I'm going to just briefly give you those 13 sciences. I went last night and got something for you guys. So I'm going to give it to you. Inshallah ta'ala. Naam? Okay. I'm going to give you the 13 sciences. And it's a good thing because when you know what, remember, I'm trying to teach you how to look at the science from a bird's eye view. Okay? To look at it and break it down into a graph. As Ibn Jawzi, he said, rahimahullah, he said, knowledge is graph. When I started to study usul of hadith, the science of hadith, the first lesson, I came with Al-Bayquniyya, the book. I want to learn and to check through the book to the science. And you want to learn the book or you want to learn the science? Okay? So I was like, I want to learn the science. What do you say? And he drew a graph. Riwayat and Darayat and he started to do all of this stuff. And then within 5 minutes, that graph became the most important piece of paper. You know, it was on like 2 pieces of paper, how to understand this whole science, what's going on, where's all of this, you know? And so we want to look at the science that way. So here we have an introduction, introducing the Arabic sciences. Okay, now, I'm just going to give you this poem, right? It's a poem. After you memorize it, then I'll explain it to you. And it's very important that one precedes the other one. You have to deal with something, let it work in your mind, and then when you get the explanation, you appreciate it more. Okay? If I just give you everything, you guys won't appreciate anything. You know? It says, the sciences of Arabic. Wow, there's only one guy in here, right? Are 13 arts of rhetoric. Start off with sarf, then nahwu, do. Ar-rasmi plus al-insha'u. Balagha, break it down in 3. Bayan, badi'u, ma'ani. Then qardu shi'r, or poetry. Arudu, mix with qawafi. Khitaba, brings the art of speech. Speech is too easy? Thank you. I have bad problems sometimes. When I was in Mauritania, watching so much people write in French, you start to lose how to write in English properly. Alhamdulillah. Then history is what they teach. If texts of old Mutun, you seize. Then know you've gathered all the keys. Now, this introduces all 13 sciences. I will just take 1 second, or not 1 second, but well, this is kind of... Introducing the Arabic sciences. Write it down, memorize it. I'll ask you about it. If it takes you a month to learn it, then you won't learn what it means. And it's pretty obvious, but there's some things in it that need to be understood. The sciences of Arabic are 13 arts of rhetoric. Start off with sarf, then nahwu do, plus rasmi. There's 3. Rasmi and al-insha'u. Balagha, break it down in 3. That's bayan, badi'u, ma'ani. Then qardu, shi'r, or poetry. Arudu, mixed with qawafi. Khitaba. Khitaba. Khitaba brings the art of speech. Then history is what they teach. If texts of old, mutun, you seize, then know you've gathered all the keys. These are all 13 sciences of the Arabic language. They are very easy if you take them in the proper order. And it doesn't take much time, and this is something that you should study before you go to the Arab lands. It's not something that you need to, you need to wait to learn. It just takes some effort. Just a little bit of effort. And some seriousness. Okay, when you finish writing it down, please tell me so I can erase the board. Come on, guys. Can I erase the top?
Yeah. No.
Okay, for you viewers at home, then we're going to do this while these guys are writing. Dammun, wawun, alifun, wa noon. This is the beginning of the poem where we talk about the alamatu raf'i. We've been going over this a couple of times, and I'm going to keep going over it until I get the impression that you guys understand what it is. One of the reasons why this subject matter seems a little difficult when you get to this stage is because you don't know what the words are, meaning the types of words. Here, when we talk about dammun, waw, and alifun, wa noon, we have this, diwan, damma, waw, alif, and noon. So we have the dhamma, which is the dhamma, and the wow again, and then the alif and the noon. The dhamma is the asl. The dhamma is the original. It is the chief sign. It gives birth to the wow. Because if you give a long oo sound, you have to put a wow there. And for that reason, the wow is the immediate one that is gone to when the ulama express this, and they put it in this order. Then the alifun and the noon. Now, we already previously said, Dammun, wawun, alifun, wa noon, alamatu raf'i biha takun. So these belong to the raf'un, the gang of raf'un, if you want to say. And he is the chief. He's one of the chiefs, and we call him Chief Raf'un, only because when we studied the science of i'rab, or the chapter of i'rab, because now we're no longer in the chapter of i'rab, we're in the chapter of the signs of how to utilize this i'rab, the signs of raf'i. And raf'i is not something that you can just translate over to the English terminology, because there is no English terminology for it. If the people use terms like genitive, accusative, and all this other, that's garbage. It has no bearing to an Arabic sentence. Okay? The state raf'un is in its original format, and it's in the style of being the actor, the fa'il. And this is what the person should key in on instead of following the Masonic order, actually. Because the Masons are the ones who wrote all those other books in the 1800s and the 1600s about how to understand the Arabic language. And they did it, and they didn't have a love for it, so they just transferred over to Greek terminology, and where they could, and if they tried to put it over to their other style. We're not Greeks and Romans. Alhamdulillah. Right, there are 2 5s there. Alhamdulillah. Memorize it and I'll explain it.
So that's 5, 5.
That's right. No, there's no mistakes. Attention to what? Details. There's no mistake. It's casually, that's the way it is. Okay. So Chief Raf'un, he shares his throne with Chief Nasbun. This is what you guys should already know. Because it says, it says, Raf'un wa nasbun duna raybin waqa'a. So there's a Raf'un wa nasbun without any doubt. Duna raybin waqa'a. There's no mistake about it. Raf'un and nasbun go everywhere. So those are the 2 chiefs. Right now we're going to deal with Chief Raf'un. Because a word should always have a Raf'un, be in a Raf'un state with the Dhamma, unless if it's Mu'rab, if it has a Raf'un. And we went earlier and we said on the sidebar, can I erase this now?
Yes.
No, hold on. Did you give me permission to erase it? Can I erase it? Okay. Well, I'm going to go to the sidebar. When we did the sidebar earlier, we said that a word is either mu'arab. Mu'arab means that its ends change. What does it mean? The ends change. Right? And we said Zaydun. Zaydun. Then we said Zaydin. Then we said Zaydan. You see? It went from the ends change. It went from Zaydun, say that, Zaydun, to Zaydin, Zaydin, to Zaydan. That is what we call mu'arab, meaning its ends change. It makes i'rab. Then we have the other style of word, which is mabni. Say mabni. Mabni. Mabni, the ends, guess what? Do not change. They stay the same. It always the same. Like ja'a, it ends with a fatha. So there's certain words that are only going to end with a fatha. Or ijlis, it ends with a sukoon. Okay? Or haythu, it comes madmoom. Or these are the type of things that come. Okay? And they always, the ends, they remain the same. And they don't change. There are different types of words like that. So, when we're dealing with words that come mu'arab, the ends change, then we're dealing with a word that's going to be in a raf'un, unless there's a reason for it not to be in a raf'un. Remember we started that? We said if it's not raf'un, there has to be a reason why it's not raf'un. That's the first rule you have to go into this chapter understanding. That everything is going to be in the raf'un. That's why we call it the chief. Now, we said, ضم واو ألف ونون علامات رفع بها تكون. So the first thing now, after that, we have to realize is that there's a dammun, a waw, an alif, and noon, and somehow these encompass every type of raf'un case. Now, how do we apply this? There has to be applied to words. Now, that's why they call this nahwu was-sarf. This is the science of nahwu was-sarf, because the grammar and the etymology, they go hand in hand at this point. At this point, you have to take a second and study something of sarf. What is sarf? What is sarf? Words. Words before we enter them into a sentence. Types of words, right? So, we say here the raf'un, farfa' bidammin. So there's 4 pieces here. A dhamma, a waw, and alif, and noon. When are we going to use the dhamma? What type of words are we going to use a dhamma for to represent raf'un? Before we can do that, now it's difficult for a student to learn a rule and learn how to apply it on something he has never heard of before. That's why, again, I point to the fact that we should learn sarf. So then we said, mufrad al-asma'i. Mufrad, right? Mufrad al-asma'i. Mufrad al-asma'i. Okay? So, mufrad al-asma'i, this is a word that is what we call in English, or we would translate. Now we're just going to translate and make up a term. Why do I say make up a term? Because this is what it is. It's a mufrad al-asma'i. We will call it something, but we're going to refer to it as mufrad al-asma'. Ismun mufrad. Here at this stage of your education, you have to begin to use Arabic terminology. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And if you're not willing to make that mental change, you're going to get lost. Because you have to read words and this, that. A mufrad asma is from the word. What is mu in front of a word? One who. So let's make sarf, right? One who possesses the quality of the rest of it. What is fard? Not fard, but farada. No, that's fard. Fardu ayn. We're talking about farada, like Farid Abdullah, hafidhullah, Abu Mujahid. The Sheikh, his name is Farid. Or like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of us are going to come to Allah, fardan, singular, alone. What is Islam? You know, or we are ifradullah, right? We isolate Allah. Lil ibadah, this is tawheed. To single Allah out. So a mufrad is a word, one who is singled out. And then asma is the plural of ism. What is an ism? This is one of the first things you learned. Supernoun. So here how your education is following it. So here you have this supernoun right here. Dun, dun, dun. He's a supernoun that's singular. Singular supernoun. So that means that this thing has to be a person, place, thing, or what? Description. Okay? And in Arabic, we call a description sifa. Or we call it not. Reason why I say this, because you're going to hear these terms later. And this is what you have to understand before we can understand how to apply it. You got to know what you're looking at. So that's the first type. This is the first one. Whenever there's a mufrad al-asma, whenever there's a single. And what does that mean now? We went over it literally, but what does that mean? It is any word that is not, that implies one thing, and it doesn't imply plurality. In Arabic, sidebar again. In Arabic, well, first, Arabic is different from English. English has the singular and the plural, right? Singular, English on this side, singular, plural. Point blank and simple. That's English. Arabic is more detailed than that. Arabic has, in Arabiya, we have singular, dual, and then plural. When I say singular, dual, and then plural. So a word is either mufrad, meaning pointing to something that is singular, and it is not pointing to something that is dual. And it is not pointing to something that is three or more. For example, a man is rajulun. Wa alaikum salam. A man is rajulun. So what do I put? I said raju. What do I put at the end? Because remember, al-i'rabu taghyiru awakhir al-kalimi. Remember, we're building our education on the past science. We can't go over Dammun, Wawun, Alifun, wa Nun unless we really understood Bab al-I'rab. And in Bab al-I'rab, the chapter of I'rab, we said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, that al-I'rab is the changes that happen where? At the end of the word. And we said, what is the end of a word? We went over sarf again, and we said a word in Arabic is described by 3 letters. Fa'ala. That is it. The Arabs only use this construction to point to the fact that a word is being broken down. And they only use fa as the first root. The ain of the letter is considered the second root. And the lam of the letter is considered the third root. And in third place. What happens if it's a word that has a 4-letter root? Like jilbab. Jalbaba. So then it comes on what? It comes on a scale of fa'lala. Say that. Fa'lala. So then the ain of the letter is going to have a sukoon. And the lam is going to be doubled. 2 lambs. So you only have a 3-letter root or a 4-letter root. That's it. And from these two, and from this 2, A, B, you get 36 types of verbs in Arabic language. 36. And we'll go over them, insha'Allah ta'ala. وَطَالَ اللَّهُ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى حَيَاتَنَا. We'll go over them, because they're very simple. But we have to understand what we're looking at first. Fa'ala, fa'lala. And it comes in that line of poetry, one line. بِفَعْلَلَ فِعْلُ ذُو التَّجْرِيدِ أَوْ فَعُلَ يَأْتِي وَمَكْسُورَ عَيْنٍ أَوْ أَلَ فَعَلَ. And in that it explains that a naked verb comes بِفَعْلَلَ, like that. Or فَعُلَ. Or which is fa'ula, with a dhamma. Oh, maksura ain. What does it mean, maksura ain? A kasra on the ain of the letter. Ain of the word. That's right, the fa'ila. Or it comes as fa'ala. And that's the only way it comes. Fa'lala, or fa'ula, or fa'ila, or fa'ala. That's for a verb. Now we mentioned that that's for a verb, but also this is the only way the Arabs express any word on this type of scale. Okay? Even if it's not a verb. So, having that sidebar just briefly, we're going to move on. And I'm trying to go slow so that everybody can keep up with me. If I'm going too fast, let me know. So now, mufrad al-asma'i, they come with dhamma. So we say rajulun, rajulun. At the end, we put a what? Dhammatan. It has to have 2 dhammas. Why? Because it doesn't have alif or lam. And when we go back to our lessons, that's why we memorize the poem. So that I can beat you up with the poem. I can make you extract it from your blood. What does it say? فَالِاسْمُ بِالْ وَبِالْ Or, so it says, فَالِاسْمُ بِالْخَفْتِ وَبِالتَّنْوِينِ, which is the dhammatan, or dukhuli al. Did I put an al there? So then it's either or. You understand why we memorize? So I can ask you and you can tell me and I can tell you, see, you know the proof. So it has to be tanween or dukhul al. Yu'arafu. The al yu'arafu makes it something known. So rajulun, right? It has to have dhammatan. Why do we know it's dhammatan? Why is it not fatha? Why is it not kesra? Because the asl, because I told you the chief raf'un. If it's there, it better have dhamma on it, or there gotta be a reason why there's no dhamma. Sah wala la. No one can come to you no, unless we're gonna get to those exceptions. Unless it's one of those mabni. Unless it's constructed with an end that doesn't change, then we're going to put a dhamma on it. Unless we know differently. Remember the rule. We learn the rule, we utilize the rule, and then afterwards, we learn the exceptions. Okay? Then afterwards, we learn the exceptions, and we put that down. So, rajulun, ismu mufrad, right? Okay. So, we put a dhamma at the end of it. Together? Okay. Now, I'm going to give you another example because I just thought about something. I don't want to use this word no more. Let me give you another one. So that's a single word. Rajulun. It has a dhamma. The next type of word, فَالِسْمُ بِالْ No. It says دَمٌ وَاوٌ أَلِفٌ وَنُونٌ عَلَامَاتُ رَفِّ بِهَا تَكُونُ فَارْفَعْ بِالضَّمِّ مُفْرَدَ الْأَسْمَاءِ كَجَاءَ زَيْدٌ Sahibul ala'i. Like he said, Zaydun, right? Zaydun, the great Sahaba, right? So that's Zaydun, Sahibul ala'i. Farfa bihi, mukassara wa ma, jumi'a min mu'annathin, fasalama. So the next type of word we have to deal with is this jam'u taksir. Jam'u, everybody say that? A taksir. Taksir means that it's broken. Kassara. Yukassiru taksiran. Something that's broken. The hasil, I just want to get through all of this because we've been going over it a lot and I know the time is going to run out and I'm sad about that. But a taksir means that it's broken. When a word, this word, now we're going to go back to rajulun. Rajulun is the singular, right? If I want to say two men, I say rajulani. Okay? But if I want to say three or more men, I say rijalun. Rijal. How do I know what to put at the end? Why don't I put it two fathas? Why don't I put a kasra? Why don't I put an alif or wow or noon? These are signs of roughly two. Why do I put dhamma there? Because we said jam'u. Jam'u, we know the word from salatul jumu'ah or salatul jama'ah. It's to come together, right? And taksir, what does that mean to us? What it means to us is that whenever a word that is in its mufrad is in one form, when it goes into its plural, meaning three or more, if it changes, anytime it changes in its shape, then that word has been broken. For example, look at this word, Muslim. Okay, Muslim. Okay? This is a Muslim, right? I can put what? Muslimun right there, right? Why? Because this is ismun mufrad. This is a mufrad asma. From the words, the singular words, right? Now how do I make it plural? I say Muslimuna. And I add the wow noon. The wow noon, here goes the dhamma here, it represents plurality. That's the plural right there. Okay? And actually, you could put both these and say these both represent the jam'u mudhakkir salim with the addition of the wow and the noon. And some people say, like Ibn Taymiyyah, that the wow here is the fa'al, the actor. This in the plurality, those people. So, but this here, this wow noon, lets you know that it's plural. How come we didn't put a dhamma at the end there? How come we didn't put dhamma 10? Because there's this right here is salim. This makeup is still muslim. The changes happen at the end of the word, so this is considered, you know, sound, unbroken. Okay? It's not broken. Muslim, Muslim. The changes happen when? At the end. But here, rajul. Here we have the word rajul. When we have rajul, the change happens here. Rijal. Where did the change happen? In the middle of the word. So now we can put this because the rule is farfa bi dhammin. We make a dhamma. We use a dhamma to point to the fact that this is in the raf'un state if it's a broken plural. And the broken plural is any break that happens in the shape, in the body of the word. Not at its backside. In the body of the word. Does that make sense? Al-Hasil. Yes, ma'am. Muslimin. That would be the same thing. That's a plural, but it's a sound plural. And the addition here would be with the ya and the noon.
Wait, you said it's a sound plural, unbroken or Muslimun?
It's not, it's sound because the word Muslim is the same as the singular Muslim.
Is it unbroken?
It's unbroken. Muslimin is not broken, and Muslimun is not broken. Because the thing that's where the change is happening, at the end of the word, not in the body of the word. Do you understand what I mean by that? for example, here we have rajulun and rijalun. Okay? Or we have babun and we have abwab. But really, yes, ma'am.
You have dhamma on the words that are not broken as well.
Where? Well, these words are, no. This is the singular word.
What's
Oh,
that on top there?
this one, these are singular. These are mufrad asma. These are, we're going to use the term mufrad, al-ismu mufrad. A supernoun that is singular. These are jam'u taksir, are plurals that are broken. And they're broken, they're called broken again and again because their plural shape is different from their singular shape. The ismu mufrad is different from the plural, the jam'u taksir. Whereas here, muslimun, or muslimun, he's still together when you say muslimun. There's no change in this shape, in the body of the word. From here to here, there's no change. You get my point? Here it's still the same thing. No change. When in fact the change happens after the word, after the letter mim. If the change took place on the sin or the lam, then we would say this is broken. But as long as there's no change in there, as long as there is a change, we consider this jam'u taksir, a broken plural. Does everybody follow me with that? And like I said, understanding this properly is more important than moving on. Okay? Because in our school, everybody gets 100. There is no 75, 90. You got to get 100 before we can move forward. Because your knowledge is not going to benefit you if it's not complete. Your education is not complete. They say, what's the most dangerous thing? A doctor who hasn't finished his studies. He goes to operate. He only got half the class. So he knows how to open you up. After that, he forgets. It's not cool. So anyway, do I have everybody's understanding about that? Okay, فارفع به مفرد جاء زيد صاحب العلاء وارفع به مكسرا وما جمع من مؤنث فسلم. Okay, then the next thing is ما جمع من مؤنث فسلم. Now we're talking about the next part is that carries a dhamma is the women. جمع من مؤنث فسلم. So the dhamma is still a sign when that word, the third type of word, is a jam'u. Everybody say jam'u. Mu'annitha. Mu'annith. Salim. Salim means sound, healthy. The same thing we just talked about. It's the opposite of taksir. Taksir is broken and salim is together. So mu'annitha, what is mu'annitha? Feminine. So here we talk about a plural that is feminine. You have a question? Okay. So here we have a word. Look at this one. What is this? Muslimatun. Right? Muslimatun. Feminine. Right? Now, how do we do it for this one? We say muslimatun. Okay? Same thing, muslimatun. We added an alif and ta, mazidataini. These two alif and ta at the end of a word, this is your sign that the word that you're looking at is a feminine plural that's sound. Why is it sound? Because the body of the word has been unaffected by the change. Does that make sense? So whenever you see the alif and ta, mazidatani, added at the end of a word, you know that the word you're looking at is a jam'u mu'annitha salim. Or mu'annitha salim, and you can put on the end of it what? Dhamma. Dhamma, dhamma, dhamma. Unless there's a reason not to. That's when it's plural. The alif and ta lets you know that it's plural. And feminine. That's right. The alif and ta let you know two things. This word is three things. This word is feminine. This word is plural. And what's the third thing? It's sound. It's not broken.
So all feminine words are plural?
No. Are all feminine words plural? No. Here goes another word. Look at this word. Yes. Okay, we got to go. Hind. This word is hind, right? Now you say, hind is not plural. That's right. But now you go, hindat. Many different hinds came. The alif and ta at the end of it. Is it plural? Because they're going to call it a comma.
Is it? Yes, is it?
It's the alif and ta at the end. Let you know that it's plural. And let you know that you can put the dhammatan, hindatun. And it's feminine. Okay. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.